Now that we have if statements and loops, the problems that we are going to tackle are going to get more complicated. Our function bodies are going to get longer as well, and are going to need some English explanation. Here is the up to vowel function from the while loop lecture. We have added two comments. A comment begins with a number sign character, often called the hash character, and goes until the end of the line. Python ignores these characters. Their purpose is to document code, much like docstrings document functions. The first one describes the variables that are used in this function. Notice how it links together before vowel, s, and I. Let's explore a little bit about what that means, and we'll do this using the word Zymergy, with indices 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Well, we know that that second index is not included in my substring, so that means that this is s, starting at index 0, going up to index 7. Well, what is s from 0 up through index 6 then? That is z, y, m, u, r, g. S from 0 to 5 is z, y, m, u, r. S from 0 to 4 is z, y, m, u. S from 0 to 3 is z, y, m. S from 0 to 2 is z, y. S from 0 to 1 is z. And here's the fun bit. S from 0 to 0, just following this pattern of reducing the length by 1, gives me just the empty string. Well, we start before vowel off at the empty string, and I starts off at 0. So if we plug 0 in for I, we end up with s from 0 to 0. That's this. And s from 0 through 0 is the empty string. So indeed, before vowel contains all the characters found in s from 0 through 0, when before vowel is the empty string. This simple initialization, where we assign an empty string to before value and we assign 0 to I, establishes that this description here is correct. Furthermore, the first time through the loop, we're going to add s at index 0 to before vowel and replace what we had. Well, now before vowel contains a z. I was 0, so I plus 1 is 1. We'll make I 1. Now, we are on that row when I is 1. And indeed, this description still is true. The next time through the loop, we look at s at index 1, coming up here, that's the y. We take the y and we tack it onto the end of before vowel, and then we increment I. I is now 2, so s from 0 through 2 is indeed what we have saved inside before vowel. Maintaining this sort of relationship between variables is a bit of a tricky business, but it really helps to understand what's going on inside this loop. Coming up with these relationships in the first place is also challenging, but with practice you'll get better and better. Whenever you write a loop, there's going to be a relationship between your variables. Try and figure out what that relationship is, and you'll have an easier time writing your loop body. Also, once you figure out that relationship, write it down, put it in a comment, so that you don't have to figure it out again the next time you read the code. This second comment, accumulate the non-vowels at the beginning of the string, describes what the loop does. Much like docstrings don't say how functions work, this comment does not say how this loop gets the job done. It just describes the effect. Comments are intended for programmers, and so they don't need to describe how the loop does its job. You should try and comment complicated bits of code to explain the purpose of it, and you should also write comments to describe relationships between your variables.